look, it has been crazy. DK Metcalf going to the Steelers, Justin Fields going to the Jets, Sam Darnold going to Seattle, Geno Smith going to the Raiders, Daniel Jones going to the Colts. Um, you know, Stafford is staying in LA. Devontae Adams is going to LA. The Eagles have been offloading the Josh Allen extension. All of this has been happening, right? Raybon, let me start with you. The top two free agent signings slash trades people are not talking enough about, and why?
I think you got to start with the team that lost the Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs, signing Jalen Moore to play presumably their left tackle position. You know, we saw all the issues that they had going up against that Eagles pass rush, and you know, then they end up losing Joe Tooney. They trade him, so they kind of made a bet, you know, on their other two interior linemen and Moore, who played really well. Like last year, there was really no drop off. Last couple of years, when he subbed in for Trent Williams in San Francisco. So if he can keep that up, that would solve just a major issue for the Kansas City Chiefs. That was probably the difference between them, you know, being in position, at least keeping it a game in that three-peat and not. And then kind of a related situation, I would say like another one is Laramie Tunsil getting traded to the Washington Commanders. You know, as good as Jaden Daniels can move around, they're still in the division with the Eagles, but the Eagles lost some guys on their defensive line. So that kind of tilts the power a little bit too. So I thought those two moves, offensive line, no sexy wide receivers, quarterbacks. We're going straight to the offensive line.
You know, it's interesting. Obviously, Simon, you and I talk about offensive line and defensive line being so powerful when it comes to looking at these teams, handicapping these teams. What did you see, Raybon, in Moore? You say there was no drop off from Trent Williams. It's not like the Niners went 5 deep at running back this year, right? It seemed like every single week one of their guys was getting hurt. And I think it was who was the guy? Isaac Gutierrez was it the
Verendo,
kid that
Isaac
from
Verendo, yeah.
UCLA? Like even he was like in that running scheme doing amazingly well. What was so good about Moore that makes you feel like there wasn't a drop off? What did you see? What were the numbers?
So the way I'll put it is, let's think of a team that has a really good offensive line, the Philadelphia Eagles. We know how good they can run, right? But and Simon could attest to this when they brought in Johnson, like the other Johnson for a couple games at tackle. You know, he couldn't. He was not playing well at all. Whereas when you looked at Moore, like I was kind of knocking down San Francisco's run game each and every week. I was you know, upping their pressure rate, and it really just didn't happen over the past 2 seasons. He's played about 500 total snaps, and that's really the question mark. But only 2 sacks allowed for Moore. Only 5 in his entire career on about 1,000 total snaps. And the big thing is he's a swing tackle, but mostly left tackle. So I think that's really important. You know, that left tackle spot, which is so crucial for the Chiefs. And then because you lost Tooney, now you don't even have that, or you traded him, you don't have that option. So they're making a big bet on Moore. His PFF pass block grade has gone up each of the last 3 seasons. He was a 73.1 last year, which is very, very good. And I just think that if he plays like he played, especially last year in kind of abbreviated snaps, you know, little under 300 snaps, I just think that's a huge upgrade for the Chiefs because they had that dominant interior line with Joe Tooney, you know, Jones and Humphrey, and Trey Smith and Humphrey, and they really it didn't show through. Like you had your running game was really struggling down the stretch, especially Pacheco, and against good pass rushes, Mahomes was still getting sacked and being forced into bad decisions. So it's obvious that that tackle spot is huge for the Chiefs. So they kind of made a bet on that. You know, the money's getting a little bit tighter, even though the cap has risen just because of, you know, what they're paying to some of their stars. So I just think that's going to be such a big move, and if it doesn't go right, they'll probably be in trouble.
Simon, it's an annual tradition. People will forget about the Chiefs. People will not want to bet on the Chiefs. People will overlook the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs are 7-1 right now after the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, plus 700, along with the Ravens, just ahead of the Bills. Do you agree with this idea from Raybon?
Yeah, I like in the sense that I think just like most years, we'll be able to get great value on the Chiefs when we bet them in October to win the Super Bowl. That this O line is going to need some time to get it together. They'll drop 1 or 2 games, maybe lose a game to the Raiders in week 2. Everyone jumps off ship. Me and you, Chad, always the wiser. Will just patiently wait and get them at what 12-1, 13-1. That's usually how it goes. But yeah, for me, I love the offseason, these moves, because it is the classic one man's trash is another man's treasure. And a lot of these moves are just trash to trash, right? It's like, are the Jets really get better by getting Justin Fields? No, but those fans have been through hell. They're excited about it because they're going from an old 40-year-old man to a young, great athlete in his 20s. And they're hoping that maybe they can find a spark with Justin Fields in this team. So it's really fun this time of year. And for me, it's all about the betting angle, right, Chad? And that's what this show is about. And, a week ago I gave out, I love the Rams 28-1. They go out, get Devontae Adams. 49ers have just basically getting all the guys off the ship. They're just cutting all the old guys, trying to get young. The Rams are now 20-1 for Super Bowl odds. So that's a big movement based off what the 49ers have done and what the Rams themselves have done. So to me, that's great because I just love getting good value. And it's like, okay, we got a great number on the Rams, and I think it's going to keep dropping because I don't know who's going to be betting the 49ers other than professional bettors, right? The public, to me, is going to be totally off this 49ers team just because I think anyone rationally would think they'd miss their window, right? They're getting rid of their all-pro fullback. They're getting rid of Debo, which you can say Debo's kind of missed it. That's fair, but he's still an important cog to their offense, right? Now it is all on Ayuk and a second-year player and a wide receiver. So it's really interesting what's happening with these two teams and the Rams and 49ers because all you're hearing right now with the 49ers is that they're going to have to pay Purdy, and they're fighting behind closed doors because Purdy's saying, I think I'm elite. And they're saying, well, the talent around you is elite. We don't think you are, so we're not going to pay you $50 million. So is that a lot of drama, Chad, that's going to carry into the season? Because I know you were in on the 49ers. I'm not, right? I like the Rams side of it. So I think those are two very, very unique teams where everything feels like it's been negative this offseason for the 49ers, where things have been really positive for this Rams team. And then, to go to your Bears team, I mean, I know you were just wanting to talk about it. I can't get over it. Like the fact that they addressed the interior line in such a great way, right? Getting the best center that was available, addressing left guard and right guard. We talked about last year. I told you I think interior now in the offensive line is more important than the exterior. I really think there's been a switch in the NFL where it's more important to have a really good left guard and right guard than it is a left tackle and right tackle. Even more so with an offense like you, Chad, where Caleb, he can mess up when there's rush up the middle. If he gets pushed to the outside, that's where we've seen the magic with Caleb Williams. Like his movement on the outside, once he gets out of the pocket, it's brilliant. It's inside the pocket that's been a struggle for him, right? When he gets that pressure up the middle and he gets happy feet, that's been a problem. Ben Johnson came in day one and went to your GM and told him, that's what I want to do. So I love it because this year has been different than last year. Last year was all about Derrick Henry, Saquon, right? These sexy running backs, trying to add them to a team that's missing one piece, where this year it really feels like it's been not just boring, but more about address the interior offensive line, address the D line because of what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl, where we have a little bit of mix sprinkled in of DK and, Adams, these number one receiver switching teams. But to me, this offseason has really been about addressing these teams' D lines and offensive line. So I'm loving every move the Bears team has made so far.
Yeah, look, I'm glad you brought it up. I wasn't going to open with it.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I didn't want to be the homer.
Yeah, but you can't deny it. It's incredible.
Look, I love that Raybon's 2 top plays were offensive tackles. I love that one of your key points is talking interior line. I agree with you, and I don't just agree with you because of what we saw with Caleb Williams. Obviously, teams are trying to play their young quarterbacks as quickly as possible. The biggest challenge for young quarterbacks is when they get pressure up the middle, when they have pressure in their face and they have to run to the edge, but they might not have time because it's so overwhelming to have 3 guys coming at you from the middle of the defensive line who are so much faster than you are used to when you've been playing in college. You can't get to the edge, so you just keep running backwards, right? We saw this with Caleb Williams. Everything you just said is true. Before we get to the Bears, my quibble with what you're saying about the Niners is Debo is gone. Fine. He was trending down. Brandon Ayuk is back. He was the primary target for Brock Purdy anyways. So it's a wash, right? You might lose something, because you're losing a high profile fullback who was an important part of your scheme, but you're going to get back Christian McCaffrey. So you're getting back to your most important playmakers, and you're still going to have Kittle at tight end. So I don't worry so much about the Niners. In fact, I might buy into the Niners again if their odds drop, because I think you might still be getting value on there.